Hey, Tesla FSD lovers. There has been a very nice news in our community, and well, maybe I should call my channel the Dirty Tesla Channel. The weather has been very rainy the last days, but the good news is I have very good news from Tesla itself. They posted a message to give us hope for the introduction of FSD into Europe. You cannot believe it. Let's look at the details. Of course, we are not there yet. Listen to my story.
Yeah, many of you living in Europe have probably participated in the petition organized by Change.com. Around 14,000 people have participated till today. A few days ago I received an email with feedback from Jonas, who started this initiative. He is a Belgian guy. And look at what he said. He attracted the attention to a message from Tesla. And Tesla Europe published an official press release. And they confirmed that the UNECE DCAS framework is not the pathway for full self-driving in Europe. And this is exactly what I've been saying for 2 years now. In this video, I explain more deeply Tesla's new strategy, their 1 million plus kilometers of European FSD test data, the critical role of the Dutch RDW, and the realistic timeline for FSD availability in Europe. The news is very positive, but it's far from guaranteed. Some countries may still delay the approval to protect their local players, and I'm talking about mainly the European car manufacturers. I'm tracking the next steps closely starting from February 1st, and subscribe to stay ahead. So I will also show you some comments from other influencers on YouTube, and yeah, this is a warning that everything is still not going perfectly. When you look at the X article from Tesla, you will see that they also added a contact list for contacting RDW in the Netherlands, and they advise to encourage them. So this is what I did. I filled in my details and sent them a nice message to thank them. But since then, RDW sent out a message saying that you don't need to contact them because that will not accelerate their actions. As you will learn later in this video, you will see that there is a few discrepancies between the text that Tesla published and the explanation that RDW published after them. So you will hear this in more detail. Here you can see a very good suggestion from Alwin on X. And he's saying, rather than messaging the RDW in Holland, I think people should message the equivalent authorities in their own country to make them accept RDW decision. It's not 100% safe yet, as you say, but to me it now seems very likely that FSD will be approved in the Netherlands early next year. The more countries following them suit, the better. So this is a good suggestion in my opinion. Please write the RDW equivalent in your own country and encourage them to accept it. And now I offer you to view a very interesting comment and analysis from Dylan of the Electrified channel. He has some useful things to say.
Speaking of approvals and supervised FSD deployment, a lot happened over the weekend when it comes to Tesla and the regulatory environment across Europe. Tesla said it's been working hard to try to deliver supervised FSD for over a year. They've been giving FSD demos to regulators of almost every country. They've requested early access, pilot release programs, or exemptions where possible. They've shared the safety data and called out they've driven over 1 million kilometers safely on EU roads across 17 different countries, that for internal testing. That works out to roughly 620,000 miles. Tesla said our main path to success is partnering with the Dutch approval authority, RDW, to gain exemption for the feature. Tesla has to prove it complies with existing regulations, and they will have to file an exemption, EU Article 39 we've talked about numerous times in the past. This for yet to be regulated behaviors like level 2 systems, off-highway, system-initiated lane changes with hands off the wheel, etc. Some of these regulations are outdated and rules-based, which makes FSD illegal in its current form. Changing FSD to be compliant with these rules would make it unsafe and unusable. While we have changed FSD to be maximally compliant where it's logical and reasonable, we will not sacrifice the safety of a proven system or materially deteriorate customer usability. As a result, we're gathering evidence to get exemptions on a specific rule-by-rule basis. Unfortunately, the real-world fleet-proven safety wins alone are considered insufficient. Tesla said right now the RDW has committed to granting Netherlands national approval in February 2026. And then Tesla shared a link for everyone to contact the RDW to thank them in advance and share their excitement. Upon Netherlands national approval, other EU countries can immediately recognize the exemption and also allow rollouts within their country. Then we will bring it to a TCMV vote for official EU-wide approval. And then of course everyone started celebrating, thinking that supervised FSD would roll out in at least some European countries as soon as February 2026. But today, the RDW put out an official response. They said, "We do not share details about pending applications from manufacturers because this is market and competition sensitive information. We can, however, mention the RDW has drawn up a schedule with Tesla in which Tesla is expected to be able to demonstrate that FSD supervised meets the requirements in February 2026. RDW and Tesla know what efforts need to be made to make a decision on this in February. Whether the schedule will be met remains to be seen in the coming period. For the RDW, safety is paramount, which I think is quite ironic. So clearly, the RDW is not aligned with what Tesla is saying. Tesla said the RDW's already committed to granting Netherlands national approval in February 2026. But the RDW is saying, no, Tesla's only going to have an opportunity to demonstrate that they can meet the requirements in February 2026. And then, depending on how things go, we will make a decision in February. And further, the RDW outright said, do not contact us, do not do what Tesla said, because it takes up unnecessary time for our customer service. And further, this will have no influence on whether or not the planning is met. So in a sense, they're saying it doesn't really matter what the people say, we're going to do what we want to do. And of course, they're just using safety as a banner shield when in reality, we've seen the safety data and it's better with FSD. And then the RDW also had some commentary about how the exemption would work, which Tesla said is definitely their best path forward. To obtain this exemption, a member state must submit an application to the European Commission on behalf of the manufacturer. This means the Netherlands will have to submit the application on behalf of Tesla. Then approval requires a majority vote within the responsible EU committee. If a majority votes in favor, the manufacturer gets that exemption for the new tech. The exemption is then valid in all member states, meaning the technology may be used throughout the EU. If there's no majority vote, the exemption remains valid only within the Netherlands, and this technology may only be used there. Other member states can then decide for themselves whether to adopt the approval for their territory. Which again is another contradiction, because Tesla said upon national approval in the Netherlands, other EU countries can immediately recognize the exemption, allowing for rollout in their country. Whereas the RDW is saying no, only if there is then a majority vote in favor will Tesla get an exemption for FSD across the EU. Which means if during that vote there's no majority, then after that each other country would have to decide country by country what they want to do. And finally, before the Netherlands could even submit for that exemption on behalf of Tesla, Tesla would first have to demonstrate a vehicle or system complies with regulations by undergoing a comprehensive test procedure with a type approval authority, which in the Netherlands we know is the RDW. So unless something is getting lost in translation here, one of these sides is lying about what they have actually agreed to. And listen, I actually went back to try to pull that post for Tesla's AI roadmap they shared toward the end of 2024. It said toward the end that Tesla was expecting FSD supervised to roll out in Europe and China in Q1 of 2025. And it said pending regulatory approval. As we know, we're now just over 1 month away from being in Q1 2026. So my point here is Tesla has been expecting and thinking FSD would get approved across the EU for over a year, and it hasn't happened. So I tend to think that Tesla's just trying to apply pressure and make its best guess on when approval will happen, but Tesla's been wrong, and quite wrong, and at the end of the day, it's pretty clear the RDW is pumping the brakes here. And listen, we all know the EU auto industry is in trouble with BYD and Chinese companies undercutting its homegrown brands in the EV space, and when FSD gets approved across the EU, millions of people will wake up to how far ahead Tesla is, because remember, most people over there still think autopilot is basically the same as FSD, which everyone in the know knows is an utter joke. So the regulatory bodies in the EU can shout about safety all they want, but it's a facade because the data and the real world testing is clear, and it's just they do not want to acknowledge it. And then Keys chimed in saying, "You want to know why I've become so pessimistic in my timelines? It's because of exchanges like these between Tesla employees and in this instance the Norwegian road transport authorities. No matter how much data Tesla provides and how many times they explain their MO, they just keep getting the same responses." In short, Tesla was just trying to get approval to test FSD version 14 in Norway, whereas to date they've only been allowed to test version 13 on a handful of cars. And yes, of course, it's fine for the regulators to ask questions, but it becomes clear quickly the EU authorities are doing all they can to slow things down and make things as difficult as possible for Tesla to even just test FSD on a super small scale in one country. So it still feels like the time when they're going to be ready to have widespread approval across the EU is still relatively far away. Now, of course, a lot could change in a short amount of time, but based on the wording and all of the attitudes right now, I would not be holding my breath for February 2026 to expect supervised FSD even in the Netherlands, despite what Tesla said on X. And just so you know, if it does make it to that vote, which would need a majority, it would be the Technical Committee on Motor Vehicles, that's the TCMV, that would be voting. It's made up of 1 delegate per EU member state, and it's usually a senior official from a national type approval authority or relevant ministry. Think a role like transport and infrastructure. And I think we at least have to acknowledge, beyond the EU auto industry being in trouble if FSD were to be approved, we also have large groups of the EU population and leadership that is anti-Elon thanks to his politics. And maybe I'm jaded when it comes to believing politicians can do the right thing for their constituents and put their their own bias aside because it seems to be so incredibly rare from where I'm sitting. So I really hope you don't view this segment as me being a pessimist. I'm really just trying to approach all of this from a realist perspective, and I'm simply acknowledging that what Tesla is saying and what the RDW is saying are very different, and I do think there is good reason to believe that the regulators across the EU are indirectly incentivized to delay the release of supervised FSD as long as possible. So of course I would love to be wrong, but for now we have to sit back and wait and see what happens in February.
Thanks to Dylan Loomis. I hope you found this analysis important or interesting. And now with some nice background pictures of Omar Kazi driving through California on version 14 of FSD, I will explain you what my understanding is of the current situation and the future. Tesla Europe has now confirmed publicly that the UNECE DCAS rules are not exactly the pathway for Tesla full self-driving forward, because these rules are outdated and they are really designed for limited lane keeping systems, and they don't reflect Tesla's end-to-end AI architecture. That means they are made for cars which are programmed but not trained with AI, or at least not fully. Too many exceptions, prescribed rules, etc., etc. I've been saying this for a long time, 2 years at least, and Tesla just made it official that this was the right path. UNECE is of course still the authority for vehicle regulations in Europe and many other parts of the world, but we should only focus on the progress of ADS regulations. These are the automated driving systems and not the DCAS systems, which are really passed by the events. Tesla has shared more than 1 million kilometers of European FSD test data with the regulators, and they drove in 17 countries, collected detailed evidence, and they presented complete safety reports. The message is clear: Tesla's system is already mature and extremely safe, as proven in the United States. But this is not accepted yet in Europe. This evidence seems to be not sufficient. Tesla also stated something very important. They will not downgrade FSD to satisfy outdated European frameworks or UNECE frameworks. Europe must update its ADS rules to match the real capabilities of modern AI systems, not the other way around. And I'm afraid that the regulators in Europe will say safety first, but actually this is something they use as a way to escape a real decision to accept Tesla's system. And they want to protect the local car companies who are also trying to catch up with Tesla, but they don't know, they will never do that. The RDW in the Netherlands is now the central regulator that Tesla choose for their path into Europe via an exemption through Article 39. If everything goes smoothly, Tesla expects national approval in the Netherlands around February 2026. So watch out and put it in your agenda, but nothing is guaranteed. Let's be honest, the Dutch approval does not automatically mean approval everywhere in Europe. Other countries can still delay or block the recognition, and yes, political motives of protectionism for local players is absolutely still a factor. Now, to conclude my video, I found something very interesting. If you go to Tesla's European website, you will see that Tesla is recruiting vehicle operators. And maybe this is something for you. Every country can apply. I have February 1st marked in my calendar to follow developments from the closest possible distance, and this is a turning point, but the story is far from over. If you want the clearest and fastest updates on Tesla FSD in Europe, please subscribe and stay tuned. See you next time.
Away, but do not celebrate yet. There is a catch. Tesla confirmed that the RDW has committed to granting approval in the Netherlands in February 2026. Here's the reality. Other EU countries can immediately recognize this approval, but that doesn't mean they will. The bottleneck is no longer Brussels. The bottleneck is now your local Ministry of Transport. So let them know you want this. Because if the software can handle what you're about to see, then it's ready. Physically, the Cybertruck doesn't fit in Europe, and I have absolutely no clue how the guys from Cybertruck EU managed to unlock FSD here. Software that is still officially banned, even on standard Teslas. But when they offered me a seat to witness the first ever FSD drive in the Czech Republic, you don't say no. Last week I showed you the impossible, the Cybertruck driving itself in Prague. No navigation, no maps, the ultimate stress test for a pure vision system. And that is why this video matters. Because if a massive truck like this, driving blind in a foreign continent, can handle the chaos of medieval Prague, then the debate is over. FSD isn't just coming soon, it's already capable of driving anywhere on Earth. And after watching this, even the biggest skeptics will have a hard time arguing otherwise. Welcome to the stress test.
This one is crazy.
Okay.
Construction zone.